So this is how you could have traded every single London session this week and made money out of it. So starting off with a few rules for the strategy, it is super simple. For the bias, we're looking for Asia session to accumulate, which just means move sideways, which it normally does, normally, not always. And then London session to manipulate, take the high or the low, and then move in the opposite direction. The entries, we are either going with a 1 minute change of character, which obviously just means a break of structure but against the current trend, or a 5 minute or 15 minute inversion fair value gap. You need the fair value gap to form and then price to disrespect it. And then finally, the rules of the strategy. So we take our trade from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., which means it's a great for your lifestyle. I mean, you literally only have to work the morning, the rest of the time you get off. And we always close before red folder news. And another little thing, but this is more up to you, but I never move my stop loss at break even. So let's start with Monday. So first of all, this green box you see on my chart is the Asia session, and the blue box you'll see in a minute is the London session. Right, so this one's actually pretty simple. We did take the Asia low, so normally we'd be looking to buy up to the Asia high. But if you notice, we didn't have that accumulation. We didn't move sideways. We, in fact, moved pretty heavily to the downside. So this is a day where you wouldn't be looking to take a trade. And as you can see, it would have done us pretty well because price just continued to drop to the downside. Tuesday, however, if you notice, price did move sideways. It did accumulate, so it is exactly what we want. So obviously what we're looking for is the high or low to get taken and then just a reversal trade. Now, something that's always helpful is to mark on potential areas where not only could we take the liquidity, but we could also push up into a POI. Now, I've got two here. Obviously, I've got an order block up here. And obviously, you could say the fair value gap just below it. And I've also got the weekly trope. And now, you should really know these concepts. If you don't, drop a comment and I can make a video on it. Right, so now we've taken the Asia high. You can see our Asia high has been swept. So our target is now for shorts, this Asia low right here. Now, there's two ways you can enter, as we said. For now, we've got a nice fair value gap form, so we're going to use a fair value gap. This is my preferred way to take it. Ideally, I'll go with this. I'll only really use a change of character on the 1 minute if I have to, and I'll show you why in an example why I would have to. So all you're really waiting for this, for your entry, is this to get disrespected, so close below, and then we're going to use it as a flip zone, so we'll enter a short off of 50% of it. All right, so this is just a normal fair value gap. And in a bullish market, we should be moving up of these fair value gaps. So if we don't, especially after taking this liquidity, then it's pretty common we will have a reversal. So let's carry on and see if we do have a reversal. Remember, we're looking for a close below, not just a wick below. We need the actual candle close. And it has to be on the same time frame to which it formed. Otherwise, it doesn't really make any sense. So you can see we are reacting pretty nicely off it. This is what you want to see, though. Even if you're not necessarily disrespecting it, you want to see price interact with it, right? So you know it's a significant point in the market. So you know if we do, when we do, invert it is going to be important. Right, here you see we've got another fair value gap form. So what can we notice is that we have successfully reacted off this. So we can see that order flow is very much reacting to these fair value gaps. So now our eyes are on this one to get inverted. And obviously this is going to provide better RR because it's further away from our target. So again, we're sort of reacting off it initially. As soon as we get that fair value gap being disrespected, it's the beauty of this strategy. We know exactly where our entry, stop loss, and TP is going to be. So our stop loss can either be there, just above this level here, or right at this high here, 12 pips for the stop loss, and the TP is going to be 24 pips, right? And then we're just going to let this one play out. I mean, it's as simple as that. The minimum RR I'd go for with this would be 2 to 1. 2 to 1's really, it's enough, to be fair. People like to aim for these crazy amounts. And with this strategy, you will quite often get 4 to 1s, 5 to 1s, 6 to 1s even. But 2 to 1, you still got to be taken. And now, this trade, we actually had news at 1:30, red news. We had PPI. And obviously, that means we have CPI the day after on the Wednesday. But Tuesday, we had PPI. So we wanted to close it before 1:30. Anytime around here, obviously, it's 1 o'clock there. So this is really the latest you could have held it for, 5 minutes before the news. So let's say you closed it there. You would have got 1.5 pretty much RR. And then obviously you see news came and absolutely just fucking went crazy. Which is why you want to close it before news. So yeah, not a full TP, but still decent from the market. Putting you for this week up 1.5% with 1 trade taken and a win rate of 100%. Right, so Wednesday, here we are at 7 a.m. And again, I've marked out a fair value gap just below where the Asia session is. And you can see we have moved sideways. So we are looking for a sweep of the low or the high to get into a trade. So let's go down onto the 5 minute and wait till we take out that low. Right, so you can see pretty quickly we did take out that low and we did make a fair value gap right away. So what we're going to do is draw on our 5 minute fair value gap, and hopefully from the last trade you sort of get the gist of what we're doing. So we're going to mark out our 50%. We're going to put our long here. with our stop loss at the low here and our TP at the Asia high just there. But of course, we are not getting into the trade until that fair value gap has been disrespected by a candle close just above it. So as you can see, we have just closed above it. So this is now where you'd be valid and you'd put your buy entry on. This is a 1.8 RR. So I'll be honest, it's not the best. In this situation, I would have actually aimed for this high rather than specifically the Asia high. You can see in this scenario, however, price did just run away and never actually ended up coming back into our entry. I mean, it did a little bit later, but that was after the Asia high had already been taken. So it's no longer our draw of liquidity and there's no point targeting it for a trade. Therefore, meaning we didn't end up taking the trade and there was no trade that day for us. And again on Thursday, Asia moved sideways as expected. So we're looking for a low or high to get taken to get ourselves into a trade. For this one, I marked out this 5-minute order block here. And you also could have identified this 5-minute order block down here as well. As you can see, price then broke the high. But if you look at the fair value gap that actually formed, it is quite near to the Asia low, which is the area we're actually targeting for our TP. This means if this were to get disrespected and we were to get in a trade, already we're looking at an RR of about 1-to-1, which is just really not good enough for me. So this is an example of one where I'd actually used a 1-minute change of character. So I'm going to go down onto my 1 minute now and start marking out the highs and lows. So you can see the most recent breaker structure we've had is this range here. So I'm going to mark out the low. And this is what we need to break in order to move us from a bullish trend to a bearish trend. So here you can see the low has been taken, so you would be valid to get into this trade. There's a few little confluences I use on the lower time frame just to make sure I'm getting a good entry. Your win rate's going to skyrocket if you do use them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this current range. So I'm going to draw the 50% and I'm only going to be looking for sells in the premium of that range. So I'm not going to identify a POI within here. I'm just going to pick out a POI within the premium of this range. This really narrows it down as well. So not only do you get a more premium entry, better RR, but you also get less choice, less noise in the actual move. It's very easy to pick the order block. Like here, for example, there's one order block really it can go. Do you know what I mean? There's only a few candles even in this range, so it makes it really easy picking out the entry. So I'd put my trade on here, my stop loss at the high. You can have it here, but I like to have it at the high. You always want to round up as well. I always say this in my videos, 5.1, you always want to round it up to 6 pips. It's always going to keep you safe with them spreads. Again, as always, TP on the low is always already written out for us, and then we just wait for us to tap in. You see we tapped in pretty quickly there. So we're just going to drag our price across and wait for us to move to either TP or stop loss. Remember, never move in that stop loss at break even. We're going to hold it out to the full. And as you can see, it was pretty slow, but we did eventually end up hitting TP on this trade. You can see as well, if you did move your stop loss to break even, you would have been really unlucky there and missed out just before it ran all the way to TP again. So it's another reason, trust me boys, I've traded this strategy enough times to tell you, you don't really want to be moving your stop loss at break even. But anyway, with that being said, that is the best trade of the week so far with a 2.5 RR. So beautiful. Again, 100% win rate, only placed 2 trades. One of them was a winner of just a bit less than that, but 2.5 is a decent amount to be banking on the week. Now finally, Friday. Now the Asia session didn't typically accumulate as it did in the other sessions, but you can see it did move down pretty slowly. So it's one of them where I'd sort of take it or leave it. I would really look at the market just in case an entry does form, as it's not as aggressive as Monday. If you go back to Monday, there was a lot of fair value gaps, whereas this one is sort of just creeping to the downside. I've also identified this order block here, and you could say there's a little order block just above as well. But it does look more likely that we're just going to take out the low. So here we have taken out the low, and as you can see, a fair value gap has formed. So we're looking for this to be closed above and then enter off of that. This should provide a nice RR as well, as long as we invert it pretty soon. So here you can see we do invert that fair value gap. So again, really simple. We'll be valid on our long right here with our stop loss on the low as always, and our TP on the high. Now, absolutely all of these trades were caught on live stream, so make sure you get in my Discord and follow me on Instagram to see my trades live. As you can see, this trade did hit TP for a 3-to-1 risk to reward. So that means with this one strategy, you would have finished the week with 7 RR, 3 trades taken, and 100% win rate. And as you can see, this is an incredibly easy strategy and one that you get in during the morning times, so you have the whole rest of the day to do whatever you want. Now, boys, get in the Discord and follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you trading this strategy very soon.